Our market monitor tonight says that we're going to talk more about the market and rates and stocks that he thinks you should own as the volatility picks up, she tried to say. He's Kevin Caron, market strategist with Stifel Private Client Group. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
It's good to be here.
So you do think that volatility is here to stay for this particular market?
Well, let me frame it out. We've had 5 years of very fortunate markets. We've had very little volatility. The Fed has been very low in terms of interest rates, and the markets are sitting at record highs. So we've been lulled to sleep by a very low in volatility and low interest rate environment. That can't go on forever, and I think maybe we're starting to see the beginning of a shift there.
You know, we've been listening for the most of this week to people saying, well, the market is down because the dollar is strong. The dollar is up. The dollar is moving. I thought we wanted a strong dollar.
Well, that was exactly what worked for us in the late 90s. And there are two things. I think the dollar is strong for two reasons. One, because our economy is the one place in the world where things are working.
Isn't that a good thing?
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And also our Federal Reserve is looking to be a little bit tighter in terms of monetary policy compared to other central banks around the world. So if you have a growing economy and you have a bank that's treating the currency relatively well, that's going to attract a lot of capital, and that can keep growth going. And that's what happened in the late 90s. Not sure if it's going to happen here, but maybe that's a positive for the next couple of years.
The big debate is when the Fed will move up on interest rates. Is this market strong enough to take a move to the upside in interest rates?
I think it is. I think that if you look at, I would much prefer to see a Fed that's raising interest rates because you have a decent economy than a Fed that has to stay at zero because we've got a major problem in the economy. So I'm happy to see that. And the Fed has been very good in terms of projecting what they're going to do. So next week they were talking about removing the patience phrase from their dialogue. All of these moves have been very well conveyed to the markets, and that in part is why the dollar is already strong.
Let's move on to a couple of your stock picks, beginning with Abbott Labs. I want you to profile that one, but also, are these picks defensive, offensive? Where would you place them?
Yes, if you think about
it. All of the above.
Yeah. So what I wanted to think about was if we go through, and the last 5 years have been very good. The next 5 years, maybe not so much. And I'm not saying that we're necessarily entering a bear market right away, but if we don't have smooth sailing the next 5 years or so, what kind of companies will get through? Now, these companies have all been around since the 1800s. I have to start there. Abbott Labs is leading the list. We think it's a company that can persist. It has a very good dividend. It's great management. The balance sheet is good. And if you find companies with good balance sheets, consistent cash flows, you're probably going to make money over time.
Emerson Electric is also on your list.
Yeah.
Why?
Another one that goes way, way back. They've raised their dividend consistently for many, many decades now. It is a very consistent company. They've faced some challenges. The stock's pulled back 10 or 15 points or so, but we think it offers long-term value. Now, they are tied to some sensitivity in the oil patch. You got to be careful, maybe short-term some volatility there, but for a long-term investor, it makes a lot of sense.
I remember having an Emerson transistor radio.
That's right.
So they go back a long way. Let's just say that.
Way.
And the last one's Becton Dickinson.
Yep, New Jersey-based company. This is a company that maybe not the sexiest business, but they do make all kinds of things that go into healthcare. So if you think about surgical supplies, diagnostic tools, et cetera, and so forth, maybe not real glamorous, but very, very consistent. They just made an acquisition that I think is going to be good for them in the future.
I do not remember having an Emerson radio.
Oh, no, of course not.
Kevin, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Kevin Caron joining us tonight.